Information and Communication Technologies, Paper 3 on June 2025, Group 1. So this is Group 1, and we start with the first task, which is task A, database 20 marks. The student is presented with a flat file containing meeting details as displayed below. It contains a summary of the financial situation of mates from a quarter meeting in Bamina who have moved to different towns in Cameroon. The activities of this meeting are shown in Table 1 below. Table 1 below financial transactions. So this is Table 1, and MID here will mean member ID, MAD, member address, T type, transaction type, TID, transaction ID, code date, operation date. The student decided to normalize the flat file into three relations, namely member having as attributes MID, MNAME, and MAD, transaction having an attribute TID, T type, and amount, operation having an attribute MID, TID, and all that. Question 1 says from the table structures above, draw the member table in the space below. So you're supposed to draw a member table here based on the data of this table. So I'll do that in Word. I'll create blank document, and then I'll click on the table. I'll create 3 rows, and this one we are going to have MID, and here we have MNAME, and M address. Okay, I'm done. I start populating. So here I have M10 bomb, and the address of bomb is bomb. So M A is capital A, and the next is L0. Okay, it looks like L05, and the name is Leon. The address is Bamenda, and the next is M10 bomb. We had M bomb already, so we move to the next one. It is O20, and the name is Otia, and the address is Room. So at the end of the day, we are going to have something like this. This will be our member table. Okay, and then I can move to the next question, which says state the key for each of also like this first of all question 2. Give the reason why the table above is not normalized. Okay, there are several reasons why this table is not normalized. First of all, there is a lot of redundancy. That's one reason. That's an obvious reason, but a good reason would be that there is not full functional dependency on the composite key, like MID and TID here form the composite key of this table, and we can see that here MNAME is solely dependent on MID, for example, so it doesn't care about TID. So this is known as partial dependency, and one reason why this table is not normalized. And another good reason why this table is not normalized is that there will be a lot of update anomalies if we try to update one record in this table. For example, if we try to update the M address of BOM and set it maybe to Bamenda or Douala, we will have to update everywhere we see BOM in this table. And if we miss to update a record where we have BOM, the data of the table will become inconsistent, and that's a problem. So those are the reasons why this table is not normalized. So question 3 says state the key for each of the tables. So the member table, okay, the key is either going to be a primary key or a composite key. So the member table is going to have as key obviously MID, transaction table, TID obviously, and the operation table is going to have as composite key MID and TID. So both of them will uniquely identify every record of that table. Question 4 says state the appropriate data type of MID and holding. MID, looking at the table itself, we see that MID, an appropriate data type for MID will be short text. Hold date will be date/time. So 5, using an appropriate database management system, create a database called FinanceDB containing the 3 tables defined above. Populate all the tables taking data from table 1. So for that, I'll be using Microsoft Access. And then I'll click on Brown Database. They said we should call it, what should we call it? We should call it Finance DB. Finance DB. So I'm going to call this one Finance DB. And I'll choose to save it on my desktop. Surely you'll be required to be saving your work in a candidate folder, in your candidate folder. So in short, I'm going to create a folder labeled candidate folder, and I will save it inside that candidate folder. Okay, so I click on create, and now I'm going to create the three tables. The first table is the first table is going to be the member table. So I'm going to go to view. First of all, I will make sure that I'm under the tab, the table fields, or the home, under the table fields tab or the home tab. So if I'm under the home tab, I'll go to view, okay, I'm on design view, and here no, I'm not here on design view. Here I'm first of all supposed to give a name to my table. I'm going to call it member, and then I'll click on okay. Here now I'll have to add the different fields of the table. The first one is going to be MID, the next one is going to be, what is the next one going to be? It's going to be M name. The next one is going to be M at or M address. Okay, now the different data types for this here, we've said for MID is going to be short text, name also short text, M address also short text. Okay, maybe that I can go to data. And yes. Okay, now I'll go to create the create tab. I'll go to the create tab and then create table. And here I'll go to view, design view, and I'll name this one the next table, and this is transaction. So I'll name this one transaction. Click on OK. And the different fields, we have TID first of all, we have T type, and what's the last one? The last one is amount. Okay, now the different data types for these ones. Let me look at for TID. Okay, let me look at this table here. I'm having 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 3, 0, 10. Okay, for this one, I will choose number. And I would like to have a pattern of 3 zeros or 2 zeros in front of every number that we add. So here under the formats, under formats here, I'll add 1, 2, 3 zeros. 3 zeros. Okay, so I can allow this one T type. Here, short text is okay. Amounts, okay. Amounts now here I'll change it to number. Okay, that's all for data transaction table creation. Then I'll go and create the last table, which is operation. And then I'll go to view, design view. I'll call this one operation. Click on OK. The different fields of this table are MID, TID, and what name, and audit. So for this one, MID, the data type will be short text. For TID, I'll do something similar. I'll do the same thing as I did in the transaction table. So I'll choose a number, and here I'll add 3 leading zeros. And the audit, I'll choose date / time. Okay, and then I'll go to view. Okay, all the tables have been created already. And now I'm supposed to populate the table. So let me start first of all by populating the member table, and for that I'll just reference to what I have here, M10, and Boom, and Boya, and L05, Zonda, Yomenda, O20. And actually this way of filling the table based on that Word document. Let's not enter in how we can do it to not to fill you with knowledge that will not be theta and macro. Okay, Marwa. Now the next is to populate the transaction table, and I will base on this table to populate the transaction table. First of all, I have TID is going to be 1. Transaction type is saving or type saving, and the amount is wait. Actually, this transaction type I'm seeing saving, loan, saving. Okay, there are elements that are going to be repeated. We are going to repeat some of these elements. So for populating a table, let's use a better way of doing this by first of all going to view, design view, and then under T type, I'll go to lookup, and then I'll change this text box to combo box. Okay, now this should appear under raw source type. I will choose value list, and then under raw source I'll click on this button, and then I'll add the different elements I would like to see in my combo box or my drop down list. So the different elements are saving, presenter, low, presenter, what is the next one? Loan reform, presenter, and yeah, that's all. Loan, saving, loan reform, easy, or yeah, that's all. Then for default value, I will choose low because there are a lot of loans. So let me click on OK, and then I'll go back to view data. Yes. So saving amounts. The first amount is 5,000, and the next one is 3 loan. So I'll just start typing loan, and it will auto complete that presenter. I move to the next, which is 10,000, and then we have 10. After 10, we have what type is loan, so loan. The amount is 12,000. The next is 13 loan, and the amount how much? The amount is 2,500. The next is 5. The type is saving, and the amount is 6,000. The next is 4. The type is loan reform, and the amount is the amount is 5,000. And then the next is the next is 8. So we have 8, and then saving 7,500. Next is 6 saving, the amount is 3,000. The next is 2. The type is loan reform, and the amount is 15,000. The next is 7. The type is saving. The amount is 4,500. The next is 11. The type is low. The amount is 2,500. And the next is 12. The amount is, so the type is 7, and the amount is 6,500. That's all for the transaction table. Now let's populate the operation table. Now, before we can populate a question table, we have to first of all make sure that both MID and transaction ID are primary keys. So I'll select both of them and set them as primary keys. And then I'll go back to view the keys. And then I can start populating. So we have M10, 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 and the transaction ID is 1, right? The old date is 11, 10, 2022. The next is L05, and the transaction I is 3809-2022. Next is M10, M10, transaction is 10, and the date is 15/7/2022. Okay, and this is purposely the reason why we have set MID and transaction ID as primary keys, because if both of them were not set as primary key, if only MID was set as primary key, this entry would have been refused by access. So I move to the next one, which is O20, O20 13, 23, 10, 2022, and the next is 15. No, sorry, not 15 is O15, and 5, 30, 07, 2022. The next is L05, 4, 15, 07, 2022. And the next is L04. Actually, this one, even we should be populating this MID from the member table. But anyway, we start already, so let's just finish. So for 04, 04, and even this transaction ID, we should be populating it from the. In short, let's choose, go to view, design view, and then here this one, we set this one from lookup text box to combo box, table of query, raw source. So for the raw source for this one, I'm going to choose member, and then transaction ID, I'll change it to combo box also, and then I'll choose table of query, and for this one, the table, I'm going to use transaction. Okay, then I can also view. Okay, now, so the next one is S04, like the next section is F04. The code is 8, so the date now is after it is 23, 2022, and the next entry is 020, so it's 020, the transaction type is wait, center graphic. Oh, actually, I forgot to add those leading zero. I forgot to enter a new transaction flow. So, what is it? Is it for all 20 is 6? So 6, and then the date is 31/05/2022. So I forgot to add those leading zeros for transaction ID. Here I was supposed to have leading zeros. So I'll go to general, and here I'll add format 000, and then I'll go to view data. Yes. Okay, and then the next entry is after S04 we have 20. Like I already have 20 already, so So after S04 or Twitter, so this is 23 dot okay. So then this is L12, and then 12. Okay, L12 is 2. L12 is 2, and then set this into L12. And the date is 12/09/2022. And next is GL. So set GL. And this thing is 7. And the date is 08/09/2022. And the next is M10. M10. Transaction date is 30. 2022. The next is T07. 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 T07 remember them. So we show that I forgot to add the T07. T07 text. So if I was save this table, save, and then save also, and then close this table, and then open it back again, and here you should see T07. T07 now. Okay, and then the transaction ID is 012. I'll choose 012 here and practice 12/09/2022. Okay, that's all for populating the operation table. Now the next question says, not a populate table. The next question says, draw the ER diagram for a database in the space below. Indicate the cardinalities in the diagram. Okay, so the ER diagram for all these tables that we have here, member transaction. So normally you're supposed to join this space below, but I will be joining this in Visual. So open Visual, and then here I'll choose change notation. Change notation, okay, concrete. So I'll first have one entity, but before I add the entities, let me go to design, orientation, landscape. Then we have one entity and another entity. The first entity is going to be the member entity. And the next entity is going to be the transaction entity, and the operation is linking both of them. So transaction entity, and obviously since operation is the table linking member and transaction of the operation is obviously going to be an associative entity, and then I'll call this one operation, and then I'll link both of them, member to operation and transaction to operation. Okay, now after doing this, I first want me to add the attributes. So the attributes of member, we have MID, and what we have again, we have MD, and what we have again, we have MI. Okay, and then the next is operation. The attributes of operation are MID, TID, and hold it. Okay, and the last is the transaction table. And add the attributes. So we have TID, type and the amount so this is amount, and let me not forget to specify the cardinalities. No problem, let me just take a simple text one. So one member can make many transactions, and one transaction. So sorry, one member can make many operations, and one transaction can be in many operations. So cardinality is one to many, one to many. Okay, so that's our entity relationship diagram. So we can then move to the next question, which says implement the relationship in the database created. So implement the relationship in the database created. So I'll go to access, and then I'll go to create, or to database tools. Sorry, go to database tools, relationships, and then I'll drag the member table, the operation table, and the transaction ID table. Okay, I will first of all make sure that all of these tables are closed before I can create a relationship between them. Then I will drag MID to the of member to MID of operation. Here I'll click inform differential integrity, and then I click concrete. And then for TID, I'll do the same, drag the TID of transaction table to the TID of operation table. Enforce differential integrity, create. So okay, that is our relationship. And then we can move on to the next, which is create a query to display members who have taken loans. Your query should include the amount loan and the data loan. Save the query as loan F, print the operation table and query. Okay, so to create a query, I'll go to create query wizard. Okay, and then in the query, what are we supposed to show? Create a query that is to display members who have taken a loan. So members who have taken a loan, I'm just going to display a name from the member table, and then it says your query should include the amount loan and the date loan. So I'll go to operation. First of all, I'll go to transaction and take amount, and also transaction type. Actually, I'll put transaction type before amounts, and then okay, the date loan also. So for the date, I'll take it, I'll get it from the operation table. I'll choose all it, and then I'll click on it, and then I'll click on next, and next, and we should save it as loan F. So I'm going to call this one loan F. Okay, I'll make sure that open the query to view information. First of all, I'll choose modify the query design, then I'll click on finish. So they said we should have only those who have loans. The query should display only those who took loans. So here under criteria, under transaction type, I'll type here loan, and I'll click on run. So this should be the result of my query. And finally, the question says print the operation table and the loan F query only. Okay. Now, if I want to print the operations table, I'll go to file. I'll fill information on the operations table. Okay, let me open the operations table. On the operations table, I'll go to file, print, and Microsoft print to PDF. I'll fill print to PDF to my candidate folder, and then click on OK. I'll browse to my candidate folder that I just created. Where is it? Okay, this candidate folder, and I will call this one operations table, and then I click on save. Now, in case you don't have a Microsoft Print to PDF printer among in the list of your printers, what you can do is you can take a snapshot or a screenshot of the operation table. So for that, I will press Windows Shift S to use the snipping tool, and then I'll just select this area. This will appear here. I will copy it, and then I will go to Word, and then I'll paste it here, and then finally I'll choose save file, save as, browse. I'll browse to desktop where there's my candidate folder, and I'll call it operations table. Operations table. And here under save as type, I'll choose PDF, and then I click on save. So the operations table PDF already exists. I would like to replace it. Yes. Okay, that's all. And then also you have to print. Also, we have to print the loan F query only. So for that, I'll go to this, and here is my loan F. They said we should print the query only. So I'll go to view, SQL view. This is the query. I'll select it, and then I will go to Word again. I'll cancel this one and paste this, and paste what I have copied here, and go to File, save as again, I'll browse to where the kind folder is, desktop kind folder, and I will call it loan F query, and then I'll choose PDF, and then I click on save. Okay, then I show something like this. Finally, if maybe they ask you to print the query results, that's where you could have gone to view. You have gone to here, file, print, you print the result of the query, but here they specify that they want just the query. So to have a query, just go to view SQL, and this is the query. Okay, yeah, that should be all for tax A under database. Next, we will continue spreadsheet showing in another video.